All right, welcome back, everybody. Been kind of an interesting couple of weeks here. We've made some pretty good calls, but this week's kind of slow. And Kramer wasn't really saying much during his top 10 list from overnight here. I didn't catch the show as usual, and I'm kind of grateful for that as I hear. but did he pound the table about anything really? I didn't see anything on his list, but he might have been talking about Nvidia some.
He wasn't actually talking about NVIDIA a lot. I think that's because it was red.
Ah,
If NVIDIA had been up 5%, he'd be, doing his victory lap, own it, don't trade it,
right, that whole thing.
all that stuff.
Yeah, he's kind of an odd duck. Sometimes he'll sit on his hands and just not say anything. And I'm thinking maybe it's to prevent the feedback on some of it might not be as.
Well, yeah, I mean, he ignores the bad calls every once in a while. Like the other night he did say when someone called up about a regional bank, he did mention Silicon Valley and how he messed that up. But for the most part, he'll avoid the bad ones. But if one of his faves have earnings after hours and it's popping, he'll mention it.
Right. So he's probably saying like buy on Nvidia, and I kind of missed it because I had kind of a price target between like 465 and 468. I had kind of mentioned it in my live stream yesterday morning, and that wick, if it didn't touch 468 to the damn penny, and I didn't buy it, I was like, damn. So quite all right. I'm not an owner of Nvidia by any means, but I'm kind of on the fence about whether or not I like to trade options on it anymore because they're just, I mean, they're more expensive pound for pound than Tesla options, and that's saying a lot.
Okay, you can always go to options on NVDX and NVDQ.
That's very true, and that's where I think I'm going to start setting up shop because that's at least something that's reasonable for outlay, and that's my whole
And
purpose in life.
yeah, and if we can start getting some demand, I can go to the market makers and try to get some weeklies.
Oh, that'd be killer. If it had weeklies, that'd be my bread and butter. Especially if they're trading in enough volume where they can justify like a really tight bid ask spread. That's where it all happens. Yeah, I'm
Yep.
there. In the meantime, I mean, doing some wheel trade operations on there, it's reasonable now. I mean, you might get a little slippage on the sell, or you might have to work the order and sell it to the ask or the bid price on there, but it's doable. It's a good position to start at this current outlay. It's not terrible. It's a reasonable risk to reward ratio type of trade in my opinion, which is saying a lot because I'm very picky. So
Yep.
um, and looking at SPY, and it kind of hit a key zone here, and we're kind of sitting in the lurch on the market. We're waiting to see if this is going to break out or not. Let me go over SPY real quick, and then we'll get into Nvidia and start chopping wood. Um, Looking at the previous high on SPY here, 457.80. I mean, we kind of got damn close this morning, and you pull up the 2 hour, and it's like, we touched that high. We might get a quick rejection and retrace. I'd love to see it retrace back down here to like 435 or so, but things are kind of in a zone where they might just take off and rip a face off. We've got a clean one for one that we've broken out of. We hit the target and nailed it pretty clean. We're just inside of that bar from here on that previous high, and if this thing cooks off as this is a primary move, we'll be seeing the 470s outside of a week. I mean, that's where it's set up. But it's hard to say if it's going to actually follow through with that or not. It would be better if it had a pullback first and kind of settled in an area where we know there's support, where the buyers will be, and then pick it up from there. You got
Yeah,
kind
and
of
that's oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you got kind of an opinion one way or another on that yet, or it's just a wait for the shoe to drop.
Yes. So, I mean, right now it looks like a double top short. I think the macro environment, Powell, which I think is really all that matters, is setting things up for a Santa Claus rally. But I don't think we do it from here and, just go up in a like a skyscraper. So I think, we've got to, they've got to consolidate these gains.
Oh, for sure.
We just bought some VIX, because VIX is just ridiculously low. Obviously, it can stay that way, but kind of figuring we'll consolidate. And then, I mean, then if we can consolidate these gains and individual names start kind of pulling back into some support, I mean, we'll probably be buying hand over fist for year end.
It'd be ideal. And then, I always say this is the kind of the time of year where I start looking at building some long-term options positions between now and like mid-December. Um, I tend to play with some of the synthetics going into the end of the year, and then into the first quarter, I'll start playing with debit spreads, and sometimes I'll start doing some wheel trade entries right around there too. Last year, I had great success running some of those strategies with Tesla and Amazon. That was just awesome. That made my whole year. Now I'm kind of sitting here like, well, I mean, the S&P is kind of like we just said, we're in a lurch. We're just waiting for a breakout one way or another, either retracement back to support, pull back, or give it the go ahead. I was looking at the 15-minute chart this morning in the live stream, and I'm looking at this previous high here around 455. I think it was 455.13 with the wick. I was like, well, maybe that's a double top. We might get a quick reversal, and we did get a little pullback in the pre-market, but nothing like I was expecting. It popped right off that 8 period and slam, went right up to middle of a full 1-for-1 move. So basically, we took and measured the previous trend back here, took it to a 50% retracement line for support, ran it up, and half of that move was right where it stopped. I mean, right at 456.38. So threatened to break out, and then of course got rejected. I'd love to see this pull back into Friday, maybe hit down here around 452 to 455, somewhere in that area. That'd be cool. That would be healthy.
447. That'd be even better. That's the 10-day.
Right. That's what we're looking at for if it eats that entire liquidity zone, that's about where it would be. And
And 446 is I think that's CPI day low.
right. Yeah, that's that break it moment. If we start snapping into there, we got this big old gap fill on the daily, right down to like 440. So yeah, I mean it could go either way on us, but we're going to see some volatility going on Friday. We typically do on Black Friday, and ordinarily I'd be setting up a condor if today was fairly flat, but the range on today was just kind of outside, so I'm not liking the condor as far as risk to reward ratio goes for me for a Friday play. I've had a couple of Black Friday plays where I've done a condor and profited on both sides, just one at a time. I've had other times where I've gone and done a condor and broken even, and then for the most part, I've been able to make at least a profit running a condor into a Friday. But run like a Tuesday expiration or something now that we have 5 days expiration. But I really don't see a reason to build anything neutral at this point. I think I'm going to wait till Friday to really see if there's any momentum in this to take some scalps and then maybe start setting up some swing trades beyond that into next week. That's kind of what I'm looking at, just waiting for this to settle and figure out a direction. Um, Moving into the first thing on Cramer's list there, he mentioned NVIDIA, of course, so let's pop that up. That moved down to gosh, that 468 was just incredible. Do we think it's going to continue to rally here, or is it going to trend down from here and start showing off the results of an M-top? Well, it just broke the low of that this morning and then kind of bounced off of it. We're testing that, if you say the center of the M here, or the double top, if whatever you want to call it, for resistance now. So if it rejects there, we could certainly see it eat up this trend and return to 468. That's very probable if it rejects here. But if it continues to rip back up here, this looks like the descending wedge. It kind of is a broadening pattern. Sometimes these will break out a measured move to the upside, and that's where the regression line on my chart is, kind of staking that out. So we'll see what happens with it. But would I have shorted it this morning? I know a few people who were covering from credit spreads that they opened up yesterday going into earnings, and they're kind of sitting in break even now. Some of them got out on the open and did well. Others are kind of sitting here waiting for the implied volatility to fall off. What's your take on that? Did you guys short that in SJIM over this morning, or?
Well, yeah. I mean, SJIM's been short Nvidia from the very beginning. And obviously we have the 2x short, which is actually, I mean, 2 hours into the trading day, it's traded the most it ever has. I personally didn't short. I went long somewhere around that 480 area. I mean, looking at the chart, it's a classic, rejected an even number, which was 500, you know, double top, short through the 10-day moving average. But then again, it's NVIDIA.
Right. It's got such a
And
crazy range.
well, it's just, portfolio managers are now using the Magnificent Seven as a cash or a bond substitute. I mean, it used to be just Apple, but now it's those seven stocks. So, I mean, I think if you're nimble, you can have some great shorting opportunities in Nvidia. I mean, just look at that chart.
Yeah.
But I don't think Nvidia is one of those stocks you short, set it and forget it, and you're rich. At
Right.
some point it's going to be back up here testing 500 again. Whether that's Friday, next week, next month, next year, I don't know. But you just got to be careful with it.
He definitely said the key word there, nimble. You got to be on your toes with this one. So if you're going to trade it, just be very close to a chart. Even if you
Right.
take a
I would
chart
say
with you
the
on your phone.
opposite of what Cramer says. I would say trade it, don't own it.
There you go. Absolutely, I'd agree with that. And that's why that probably is why I didn't buy that dip to 468 and then run that back up to close it today. But I don't know. I kind of sometimes will kick myself on stuff like that, but I try not to give in to FOMO. I don't want to chase this thing around. So yeah, trade it. Options are certainly a bit overpriced for it as compared to Tesla, but you've got those leveraged ETFs out, which are becoming more and more reasonable. So I'm kind of leaning that way as far as outlay to return ratio. I like those better. Give us a little more options volume, and it's game on, baby. Um, Looking at this chart, I mean, we had been long before that earnings call where it just spiked right through that $500 analyst target. I mean, I had this 2-for-1 measured move set up, and it damn near ticked the top of it. Did very well in the earnings call, but let's zoom out a little bit. This looks a lot like a broadening pattern, and this is where you get that last rip before it tips over. So it kind of looks oddly familiar, like we're going to hit the support area again. Maybe we'll see 400 on NVIDIA if things get real wild here, but I like to look at half and whole, so I'm looking for a target somewhere around 450 if this short continues. 468 is certainly reasonable. And if we get a complete break rejection off this little M top that we have on the short time, we could see exactly that. I mean, we're right up against that resistance point now. In fact, I'm going to throw a horizontal line on my chart just to remind me where to look. Right here, kind of the mean of this little consolidation here. So like 484 would be about where I'd like to see it reject. So it's there now. One way or another, we'll get a quick scalp out of this thing after all. Even though some of us have scalped some of this, now it's just a matter of let's find the follow-through move and trade it. I gotta pull up the list again. I put my phone in my pocket.
Mhm.
I like to pull it up on my phone because, man, CNBC has so many pop-ups on their website. It's just not even funny. My phone has a better pop-up filter than anything, so I just use that. Next thing he talked about was Lowe's. Lowe's reported a decline in DIY sales, and well, I don't know that he took a bias on opinion on this thing. Really, did he say
Yeah,
anything?
no, I didn't hear a real opinion on Lowe's. He has like some of these department stores, so we're shorting those in SJIM and also personally. But I didn't hear an opinion on Lowe's.
Looks like a practical short. Nice earnings call, ripped down, and if you look at the basic chart dope, you've got a primary here, and the secondary followed through. And now we're kind of returned to 50% retracement leading into earnings, and then boom, we drop off. So, pretty typical. A great short. Looking like we could finish this move and run down even lower. once this consolidation breaks, we could get a decent short out of this thing and run back to support down here around 182.
Yep.
Good stuff. I like that. That's kind of one that I'm looking at on my watch list. I'm just going to wait for this consolidation to break. So I'll make a note on that and kind of pick it off as it moves. Really not much else to say about those. I mean, you look at the weekly chart. This is very hard chop to trade on a weekly chart, but this is starting to set up like a decent trade. It's got some interest in it now, and I think we could make a pretty penny or two shorting it a little further. Always watch for a little support around the halfway point, around 193, 194 or so. It might give us some consolidation there before it breaks that low and continues more. It's getting there. Give it some time. It'll work out. Next one he mentioned was, he pulled off Best Buy, which is kind of, I used to trade Best Buy a lot, and I kind of haven't in a while. It's
Ooh,
just,
that was an interesting candle yesterday.
yeah, definitely. I mean, look at the wick on that sucker, you know? You kind of wonder, is this going to print a little higher and maybe reverse here and possibly pull us into a bull trend, at least returning to half of the previous trend? It's possible. I'll stick a pivot on there. Why not? $72.
Undercut and rallied the 50-day moving average today. If I liked retailers, I wouldn't. I'd maybe buy that, but I don't like the retailers. I think the numbers showing the consumers being strong are not right, so I'd be careful.
Absolutely agree. And then there's the whole liquidity crunch. I mean, lenders are, the revolving lenders, credit card lenders, kind of got a lot of debt carried, and there's a good chance of a lot of default happening. That basically just runs the consumer out of money, unfortunately. Um, I've kind of I've always liked being able to spot decent setups in Best Buy, and I can see it has a chance to return, to mean here from this previous trend for at least a quick scalp. And it's set up for a decent little one-for-one back up. This consolidation's just got crazy range in that candle yesterday. You said it. That thing was psycho. It went right to support and wicked right back up. Can it finish a move back to the previous high? Well, it's setting up to maybe do that. So look for a push to 70 today. Maybe it'll stop at like 68 or 69, just short of it and rip down. Who knows? But this consolidation might give us some interest in the coming weeks. It's possible. But yeah, it's like you said. I don't like the retailers either. But Best Buy has kind of been hanging in there. Let me look back a little further here. So you got, of course, your lockdown situation here, that rip and rally here for everybody being stuck at home doing their home improvement stuff. Consolidated up here, came back. It's tested the mean of that more or less, and we're just under it now. So that's where it's kind of skeptical whether things are going to stay good or not. I know in the real estate market, you got a bunch of people who were smart, refied during the low interest rates back here, and put some of that money towards upgrading their house and building equity in their house. And now it's like, well, those time to pay the piper. You got to pay off the debt that you might have borrowed to do so. High interest rates right now. Yeah, if you're paying it off, you're fine. You're just going to go and sit on your hands and enjoy your place to stay for a while. But next, we don't know where this is going to go. Interest rates are high, so like new construction or new DIY projects are slowing. It's just going to happen to trend that way anyway. But next year we could see a change in that. I mean, we've got a presidential election coming up, and things tend to shift around there. So who knows? For now, I just wait and see. So yeah, I'm with you. I don't take much interest in any kind of retail just yet. Moving down, we've got, you said something about Kohl's. It's another retailer. KSS, meh. Chart does not interest me much. I do see a bit of a tightening pattern down here after a broadening pattern on a weekly, but the daily just gives me a crap. I mean, I do not like
Yeah,
that.
no, it's gotta. I mean, it's gotta kind of make a decision here.
Yeah. I mean, you can scalp this if you're very nimble and maybe make a buck or two, but it's like it's not a massive move options wise. It's okay. I don't like the bid ask spread in the options chain on that one very much. Not my cup of tea for trading. And this is just crap. I mean, we got measured moves and some long wicks that are just unexpected out of nowhere in a pre-market and after hours stuff. So I don't think I want to trade that one much. It's not very interesting to me.
Nope.
Um, the only other one I saw that was maybe worth looking at was like Dick's Sporting Goods. You mentioned DKS here, and
Yeah, I mean that undercut and failed at the 200 day yesterday. I don't know about that one.
I mean I could see a short maybe. Going
Well, yeah, I mean that's what I mean. I don't
yeah,
think I'd go long this here.
no, maybe finish a move down to like 112 ish. Maybe we'll see what this consolidation brings us today, but yeah,
The
more or
the
less.
one the one in the space I really like on the short side because he likes it on the long side, but also the setup is Macy's. So we're shorted in SJIM, and I'm also short personally. If it gets back above the 200, or if it gets above the 200-day moving average, I'm out. But I mean, for me, that's perfect if it butts up against the 200-day and can't break through.
Oh heck yeah. Even the 200 week is a good spot to short it, like 1550 ish. Um, I forgot about Macy's, man. Brick and mortar is just not really changed with the leaves as far as markets goes. I remember shorting Sears into oblivion, enjoyed that, but now it's like, yeah, okay, well we've got this trend down. It made a 1.5 down. It's returning to mean. Yeah, I'd be looking to short that around 15 to 1550 as well. Could be a good day for us Bears. Um, Let me get the 2 hour out on this. There it is. Press that. Say target like down to 13, maybe even extend the 2 hour
Yeah,
around.
Target he likes too. We're short in SGIM so far, no good, but I have faith. And and they're doubling down on the whole woke theme, which, regardless of
Yeah,
what you think about it, tends not to be good for stock prices.
no, no, that's they've coined the phrase over and over again: "Go woke, go broke," and God,
Well,
that's
I'm launching a Go Woke Go Broke ETF next year, so
hey, all right. That'll be a good volatile trade, I think. Um, for a long time, I had marked out this giant 1-for-1 on the weekly chart that I built it, but on the daily chart, it's played out like clockwork. Even got a nice setup for a shorter term swing trade out of that to the low. I did expect a bounce between $198 and $100 was pretty much where I had a target for shorting that, and then the bounce ripped back up. Quick scalp on that is okay, but now it hit an old analyst target as well as it returned to mean on this 1-for-1. So if it does reject here, I think target would be a great short right back to that low, no problem. Um, and yeah, they're doubling down on the whole go woke thing. So I mean, this is at a critical point. If this rejects on this accumulation, I could see this whole range getting eaten up pretty damn quick. And a lot of times when you want to short something, you love to sell into strength. Well, there's strength in this move if it eats that whole bar. So I like it. I think I'll wait for it to reject here and give us a break back below 130, and I'll be on board. Ah, one of those retailers that just should have kept their nose out of politics, man.
yeah. And again, I think the consumer is in way worse shape than the numbers show. I think that this whole theft thing is a big deal.
Yeah,
And I think Amazon is going to eat everybody's lunch. So,
pretty
I
much.
mean, I would not be going long any retailer except for Amazon.
I agree. I mean, yes, you see some, porch pirates and stuff stealing packages, and Amazon certainly has to eat some of that, but that stuff's insured by the shipper. So, I mean, that's, you know, kind of where that lies. They're not going to lose as much on shrinkage as brick and mortar. So, I absolutely agree with that. Amazon's going to destroy these sectors if they keep doing what they're doing. Um, and it's kind of setting up in this liquidity zone where I'm waiting for a break, and I'm thinking I might go long on that one. So, um, at the point where it breaks 150, I'd love to run that to 180. I could see that happening all day long. I got a couple zones to watch on that for short-term targets, like around 165 to 168, somewhere in that neighborhood. Sure, but I think I might see a setup for accumulation here and a good Q4 earnings play. Could give us the rest of this move right on up to that 180 target. I like Amazon. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I've missed this one, but I mean, if it pulls back into the 50-day moving average again, that I may need to pull the trigger as well.
Agreed. I kind of like it right around there. Right in that zone. That'd be perfect entry, like right
The
around
10-day, did I? I don't know if I said the 10-day or the 50-day, but it's 10-day.
that's 50. Oh, yeah, 10-day
Oh,
would be right
right.
in there. I don't
Yeah,
have a
yeah, yeah,
10-day, but
10-day. Yeah, because I mean, it dipped below a couple times and right back up.
that's still strong on a trend. So, I mean, I like this little zone here where if it accumulates a couple bars, tests like 143, one more time and then accumulates for a breakout, I'm with it. And then above 150, I just ride the trend until it ends. Definitely a good growth stock. I mean, that thing just keeps on chugging, and over time, it's had all of its capitalization happened in this area here, and we're just running with market structure. We like to return to the high. It'll eventually get there. It looks like so. This could be setting up for a vicious Q4 rally, and I'm with it. I like it.
Yep.
Um, moving into Microsoft, it was the other club favorite named by Cramer over there, and that whole open AI stuff. And I was one of my guilty pleasures is to watch. And I hate to throw them any props because I think these guys are more entertainers than actual analysts. But over like Trader TV, I was watching them on the open Monday, and they got their butts handed to them trying to short everything. and uh, you know,
It looked like a great short. I mean, Friday afternoon, I almost pulled the trigger, but I don't like weekends. Anything can happen over a weekend.
right. And on the contrary, I went long on oh, I forgot the damn ticker. I'll get to it in a minute. But I went long on the outside, on the other side of that. I still have some butterflies open on it, but it was just debit spreads and damn, I sometimes forget the stupidest things, like what I'm trading. but during my broadcast, I was like, man, I took a 340% return holding over the weekend long on it too, and it's eluded me. I'll pull my brokerage open later and look at it. But long story short, I took the other side of it, and it was just running. Everybody was trying to short Microsoft on Monday in the Trader TV, and I was looking at the comments section coming through, and I was watching all the people like, "Why are you shorting this? Why are you shorting this?" And most of the people who were in there were smart. They're like, "I'm going long," so a lot of people were scalping long on that. I even took a little bit of a scalp on that for second bar on the day, but after that, it's like, well, we got a big old consolidation pattern, and you know, I think we're kind of setting up here for a possible rally on Microsoft to continue run into the 398 target after all. I'd love to see it pull back and consolidate a couple more bars here first, but it might not wait. I think things are kind of looking up for Mr. Soft there. um, would you short it? I don't know. What do you think
No,
for?
I mean it's like trying to short a rising knife. I
Yeah,
wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't short it. I mean, it's gone up, you know, 35 points in what, a couple weeks.
yeah, it's ripped. Now I was trading between the liquidity zones back in this mess here and just scalping the crap out of it, and then it got away from me outside of this one. I took a long through this liquidity zone, and that was a very short scalp. And I know we've been talking about it off and on. We've been picking these zones off, and we've been damn accurate on Microsoft. So, but this point here, it's like I think it's setting up for another parabolic rally. As soon as it breaks this consolidation, it's going to take off. Either that, or
I
we'll
would
see.
want to see it consolidate. I mean, I don't, I can't imagine that the Magnificent Seven stocks keep doing what they're doing,
Right.
but I could see it happen. I mean, I think they've got to consolidate. They've all got their own individual issues now, but I mean, I could see it.
Yeah, like next week, I think we could see a few days of consolidation, but this is already starting to look like a nice consolidation pattern on the 2 hour. I've got pretty much the three ways we look for, and as soon as it breaks this range, it'll go somewhere. It can go and pull back sharply, down to the bottom of our liquidity zone here one more time. But sometimes when you see this after a parabolic rally, it just surprises the hell out of everybody. So I'm going to wait for the break and trade it. But I think it's got a pretty good shot at running higher. I really do. I think that the bias is a little bit high on shorting this thing. So usually when people are looking to short, sometimes the big boys will look to buy it. So
Yeah.
kind of be aware that it can definitely eat your lunch if you take the wrong side of this breakout, but it's going to break soon. Um, the other one you mentioned, and this is one I kind of wrote down for a possible swing trade setup. Well, actually, not this one. It would be the next one. But let me look at AVGO real quick, and then VMW was the one I wrote down. But let's look at AVGO. That thing is just psycho.
Yeah, same deal. I mean, just if you're a breakout guy, that was a great trade. I mean, I'm not, so
You know, I remember we were talking about this a few weeks ago, and we picked off the numbers for the measured move, and then we watched it consolidate right in that mean, and then I was like saying if it breaks this range, it'll likely go at least to half the move, and it did a little bit more than that in 1 week. And now we're looking at a point where we could see this thing finish the move, up to like 1040. It's pretty nuts, but it could happen. I'd love to see it pull
yep.
back first, but man, this rally is just underway. It's likely to finish that move. Um, I'm kind of thinking maybe we can get the pullback here and short back down to like 960 or so if it does hit those numbers. But in the long run, I don't know if I'd short this one either. Like you said, it'd be like trying
No,
to short a rising
yeah, I
knife.
don't. Yeah, I don't think I would.
So run with the rally until it ends. But the outset of this was that they were talking about approval for a proposal to VMware and acquisition there, and I wonder. So I started looking at VMW here, and that's where things really kind of fell into place. Like, oh, hey, there's a nice little short opportunity here. So you kind of wonder if they're going to acquire somebody, the money comes from somewhere, and maybe we'll get a pullback on Broadcom to do this. But looking at VMware here, that hype has been had, and we're consolidated. We'll either come back up to the high, or we'll break into a one-for-one low down here to like 108. Um, I'd like to see this little consolidation break and give us a sign which way to go. It can go either way. It can go ripping back up, or it can go and break the low and run down. So I'll be keeping an eye on this thing, and if this then that scenarios start to stack up, and if this consolidation breaks bearish, I think I like a short on it. And today it went right to the 200-day, almost to the penny, and it's just sitting there. So let's see what this closes today, and maybe we'll get an opportunity to trade a really nice breakout trade to the bear side.
You might.
But if I would say if Broadcom says, maybe we won't acquire VMware, and maybe that decision tanks it, and then of course the money doesn't come out of Broadcom to buy it, so then that rally continues. So that kind of puts a couple chess pieces on the board for this one. A lot of people are trying to play checkers. We're playing chess, so we'll have.
Exactly.
Don't be Cramer. Don't play checkers. Don't play checkers. We play chess. The last one he mentioned here was
I think Cramer plays shoots and ladders, actually.
yeah, you might be right. uh, or Candyland. Um,
Yeah, either one.
oh man, yeah, it's kind of fun when we start to find the setups on the chart that just kind of overstep everything the man says, and not always though. Occasionally we throw him a kudo, and that's where crowdsource is kind of an interesting one. What did he say about it on the show? Anything?
I have not heard him say anything about. Oh wait,
Not
crowdsource or
crowdsource,
CrowdStrike?
Salesforce. I'm sorry, I got that mixed up.
Salesforce. Yeah, well, I mean, that's a Kramer fave. I have not heard him mention it. on the show in a while, but I mean, in the order of Man Crush, it's Jensen, it's Zuckerberg, and then it's Benioff.
Of course.
And yeah, and he's been right, but I mean, this is setting up as a nice little double top, or even a triple top or a
Yeah.
quadruple top. Um, and this is not a Mag 7 stock. I mean, this is one I'd feel very comfortable if it started rejecting at this level. I'd feel very comfortable shorting it. I mean, I think for a name like this, you need overall market weakness. So will I short it? I probably won't, but I'd feel very comfortable doing. And we're shorted in SJIM.
Right. I was looking at what Cramer was saying is that Wells Fargo reduced their price target from 275 to 265, and typically when you get a downgrade, you'll get liquidity provided for people to buy into some strength there. There is a move set up here to follow through. The second half of it started around 213. We could see it reach, up to 231, 232 before it starts to give us a short sign. So in the intermediate term, I'd wait and see what happens there after this little thing. But yeah, you're right. There is a triple top on board here that looks like it could be a good short. However, there's going to be a critical area to pay attention to. If it gets crazy for some reason and runs to 235, 238, I'm definitely going to short it. So, um,
Yep.
sometimes you'll get that triple top. You'll get a last reach up to the previous high, and then it just rips down, and you end up with a break through the mean, which is down here 213, 214, and then a quick rip to the downside, which is as low as 170. So this could be a great short coming up into play here. Um, on the outside, if you get a bank saying, "Hey, we're going to reduce our price target a little bit," sometimes like I said, you'll get that liquidity rally real quick to grab it, and then a lot of people will just flip and sell that into a quick bearish rally. So we're right at the previous high from the middle of this mess of the triple top here, and it could still break here, but I'm going to wait for a break on this thing before I jump on board. But if it goes, to a point where we start to see a rally back down, we know where the targets are, and that's the important thing. It's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So in the mean, if it breaks, cool. Short term, short, okay. Long term, we could see it run a little higher and then short. Fine, we'll just trade it when it gets there. Um,
Exactly.
it's just one thing when you find some reasonable setups on the chart. Okay, they're tradable, but like other times when you don't and you start trying to force your mind to see something that isn't really there, that's when you just say, you know what, this has no interest to me, and this is a very choppy looking trend. So it's like it's not as interesting to me as other things out there to trade, but it is tradable. So it's something where I'd be okay trading it. I'm just not sure I want to take a position just yet. I'm going to wait for this thing to give me a break and give me a quick move for a setup. Um, moving into the last thing you talked about, which is Dell, of all things. Do you say anything about that on the show?
He didn't say anything on the show. I mean, this thing's been a beast, and unlike like a Microsoft that's straight up, I mean, this is
Yeah.
one of those nice measured moves that, I mean, again, I don't know how much upside you've got left here, but I mean, I certainly wouldn't be shorting it.
Yeah, from March on, we got the primary here. If I want to draw the boxes on it, it kind of sets up. It's already made a 1.5. I drag this up here. More or less, it's kind of hit the target. It can continue to run maybe 80, but I don't know about the fact that who was it? Citibank upped the price target from 80 to 84. That usually signifies I'm going to be skeptical.
Yeah, and I mean, it looks like all-time highs. So, I
Right.
mean, I've got no real reference. I mean, theoretically, yesterday when it dipped below the 10-day and moved back above, I mean, that could have been a buy signal and you'd be up 1.73 today. I actually had it on my watch list, but it was like buried, on the very far end of the stuff that I only look at if I've got nothing else to look at.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Like if you got other things out there that interest you more, definitely trade those first. And I was kind of looking at a couple different target zones, and one I just noticed was I look at the weekly bars, and there's one right here at about 77 and some change that we could see being a good reject point to where we can take a quick short on that. But yeah, the like Microsoft and everybody else, we've gone so parabolic. It's like, do you want to short the top of the blade here? I don't know about that. Trading the rally though, I mean, it's certainly got room to run up to that $80 target. It can, but this thing is just so nuts. I wouldn't want to trade much of it anymore. If I got long on the rally here for the 1 for 1 or 1.5 for 1, okay. I'm okay with that. But at this point, there's plenty of better things to trade out there, just from my point of view. But yeah, that's kind of the end of the list here. I mean, anything else you might have mentioned on the show worth looking at? I mean, we can certainly take a quick delve into, but I'm kind of
Um,
looking at this whole week like it's just wait for the shoe to drop, and I think next week we'll have some better swing trade setups, in my opinion. Other than a couple.
yeah, and unfortunately, he was away today. What did we do today?
Yeah, he took the day
No,
off.
he actually mentioned a couple of things that we ended up going long, or will be going long in SJIM. Bill is one, and CLSK is the other one. So yeah, he didn't like those. So
BILL.
EILL, yeah.
I could see that being a decent long.
Yeah, I mean, I like that setup.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, as soon as he said sell, 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 I was like, okay,
Wait,
this looks like more like a buy, 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 and it's got a. I mean, it could. I mean, it could theoretically fill that gap at some point. I mean, that's a massive gap.
that is pretty big. I like to look at half and whole, and yeah, dude, short term, I can see that thing hitting 75 pretty quick.
Yeah, and then CLSK is a crypto name. Um, crypto's been weird, but I kind of like the idea of crypto names here.
Yeah, they're starting to look better and better, and with the regulations finally falling into place and looking favorable for the ETFs and stuff that are going to follow. I do like some of the crypto names. I almost cringe when I say that, but I've never been like an investor in crypto. I've scalped it frequently, made some killer moves in it, but it's like now it's just kind of boring to me. I don't know how else to say it. But some of
We're working on something that'll make it more interesting. So stay
yeah,
tuned. We may not be able to pull it off because what we're thinking of is extremely unconventional, and I have a feeling the SEC is going to take one look at it and throw it back in our face, but they may not.
well, they did allow for Bitcoin futures and Bitcoin
Yeah,
nano
I
futures.
mean, what we're thinking of doing is well beyond Bitcoin futures.
Okay, I can't wait to see. It sounds like a great
I
project.
can't either if we can get it done. You never know. It could be one of those things you file and the very next day you get a call and they're like, withdraw this immediately.
Right. Yeah, I just gotta wait and see what the tooth chippers like to say about it, and that's kind of what we call them.
Yeah.
uh, looking at this thing and just kind of building a couple outsets here, and yeah, dude, this CLSK actually does look pretty strong to run maybe up to about 5.25. Let this accumulation break. That could be a very nice scalp. Parabolic move leading up to it, though, usually tells me that it's likely to pull back first, and it did. There was your wick right there, right back to the 2 hour 200 almost, but it's about the previous high here. Pretty close. We could see this thing break into a nice bull flag breakout and run the rest of that. And of course, make your market about half. So like 489, 490 ish is about half that move. We could see it follow through beyond that to go to 5.25. I like a long on this one. And if Cramer's saying sell it, we know what to do.
There you go.
Do the opposite. Kind of looking at control levels to the left. I always do this with penny stocks, and it pretty much makes sense. Find the range bars because that's where the bag holders are, and you got two zones to pay attention to here on the daily. So we got one here with you can just outline this wick and know that there's going to be some sellers in this range. So about the halfway point, you could expect to see some sellers. Let me paint that a different color so it stands out to me. And then on the breakout side of things, like just go to the next wick, mark it out, drag a box over. There's your extension targets above and beyond that, and that happens to be about the mean of this trend here. So that makes sense. I like the long on this thing. I think we could see it run even a little bit more than half of that. So 550-ish would
Would
be
be nice.
good run on that. And when you start seeing stuff short squeeze or halt, all the better. And if you see, Cramer pounding at the table saying sell it, and you get a mob of people going there trying to short it, that's what short squeezes kind of come from. So you get somebody leading everybody into the slaughter basically, and unfortunately,
Kramer is good at that.
I think we're going to see some bull moves on this thing long before we see some bear moves on it. I like it. I think I might take this one on. Is it optionable? I haven't even looked at it.
Well, yeah, it is optionable. I've traded it before.
Sweet. That might even be a good wheel trade scalp because volatility usually pays you like 20 to 30% biweekly risk to reward ratios. So I like
Yeah,
those.
a month or so ago, Citibank came out with a buy on it, and I bought some calls, and that was a nice little trade.
Nice work. Yeah, I think I might be a wheel trader on this one. I might go and grab a few hundred shares and sell some puts, probably 450 strike puts, maybe $4 strike puts, and then sell some probably $5 or 550 calls if it has them. I'll have to look at liquidity on those. Cool. I think I found a good wheel trade setup.
All right, you're welcome.
Thank you, sir. I do like that one. Well, I think that's kind of the end of the deal here. I mean, we don't have a whole lot to talk about this week, unfortunately. I think.
Yeah, and and he's on vacation today, probably Friday. Hopefully, he's back on Monday.
Yeah, we should see him back on Monday. I mean, he did take an early day
I
off.
would think so. It's not the summer. If it was the
Yeah,
summer, he could be taking a week.
sure. Go spend some time sucking down some Mai Tai somewhere. Yeah,
Yep.
at the same time, we're always watching other stocks too. So like, if we got nothing to talk about with Cramer next week, and we very well might, we could always go into any other list of stuff we're looking at. So I mean, we could just sit around
Yeah,
and talk about
I mean,
Tesla all day.
I've always got my watch list, and as we're speaking, I'm trading.
There you go. I hear it all the time. I hear your notifications going off and buying and selling stuff like crazy over there. Good stuff, man. Man after my own heart, I gotta say. Well, anyway, I
Which
think that.
is why I need to go to Webull because of those commissions.
Yeah, I mean it's cheap enough to do. The only issue I had with Webull is they're a little different. It depends on what you want to do. If you want to scalp options or trade options or buy them and you can get into spreads too, but you got to have a margin account with them to do spreads for some reason. They don't let you sell options naked. They don't let you sell options against other options unless you're a tier 3 options trader, which is hard to
Yeah,
get with
that's fine.
Webull.
I mean, that's what I asked for is margin in tier 3. So
Yeah,
hopefully that'll be.
it's doable. You just if you got the
I
margin
mean,
to
I've
do it,
been trading options longer than most people have been alive, so hopefully they'll be fine with that.
yeah, I think so. And then my other go-to for me for selling options, because for me it was easy to take advantage of zero commissions with Robinhood, and they've raised it to 3 cents a side now, which is still fine. I can live with
Yeah,
that.
that's all right.
But I know Robinhood gets a bad rap on stuff, but I've found some ways to make some killer income selling options on Robinhood. And yes, I do have to kind of source a couple other streams of data to put it together for trading Robinhood, but it's just easy. I can be moving my mouse around doing analysis with one hand and making trades with my phone in my left hand, and it just works out. Especially
Okay.
with option selling, and they're pretty good about letting you build some pretty crazy spreads. You can leg stuff together in and out. I mean, there's swap strategies you can run in it. It's for me, it's been very versatile. Whereas trying to run some of those swap strategies is a little tricky in Webull. So it's doable. It's just not as easy to do as it is in Robinhood for me. So I'm still a Robinhood guy. I started with Robinhood when I started trading with my first $5 deposit into Robinhood. I've been there ever since, and man, that $5 has gone a long way. So
That's
it kind of made me who I am today. I basically turned that $5 into working capital that I can make a living on. So I'm not going to
there
complain
you
about
go.
that.
American success story right there.
There you go. I like to be humble and just be like, hey, I just I'm very frugal, and that kept me frugal. So making frugal decisions has done me well, and been able to mitigate risk by being an option seller and a spread trader has been awesome because I can really um, utilize even what I would consider basic knowledge of options trading to achieve that. Just be able to make some very, very low risk, high reward trades and keep doing it. So I'll never stop.
Awesome.
Well, right on, man. I think that's a wrap. I think we've pretty much come to the conclusion of let's sit on our hands this week, maybe make a couple scalps, some decent little options trades, and next week I think will bring us some more fruit. I think we'll have some better moves setting up next week, and then I can't wait till Q4 earnings week and things that are just going to lead up to it from January on. I think next year is going to be some killer trade setups. I really do. So
Usually is. So can't wait.
gotta love them. We'll see you next week, guys. Thanks for joining us. Have a great one.